the risk principle. Number one, target offenders with a higher probability of recidivism. Number two, intensive treatment for low risk can increase recidivism and provide most intensive treatment to higher risk offenders. Let's start with targeting higher risk. I think it's important to understand what this means. That even with the best programs, we're still going to have failures. And when we deal with a high-risk group, we're still going to have a lot of failures. This is the theory behind the risk principle. If you have 100 high-risk offenders, do nothing with them, about 60% will fail. All right, that's straight-up probability. That's what the data tells us. You put them in a well-designed program, sufficient duration, you reduce it to 40%. That is a 30% reduction in recidivism. You have 100 low risk, about 10% will fail. You put them in the same program, you'll double their failure rate. That's a 100% increase in recidivism. You've doubled it. But here's my question. In the end, who had the lower recidivism? That's not a hypothetical question. Well, go back and look at the data. Yeah, the higher risk had the higher recidivism rate. They failed at 40%. They failed at twice the rate as the low risk did. I did not ask you who had the treatment effect. I asked you who had the lower recidivism rate. The mistake we make is we compare low-risk people to high-risk people. Right? It happens all the time. I mean, if somebody's on supervision, who's harder to deal with? High risk. Low risk are nice. They show up. They have clean urine. They pay their money. They report on time. The high risk are a pain in the ass, right? They show up and say things like, this is going to take long, like they got somewhere to go. There's the ones we're looking for a treatment. Here's another way to say it. Let's say this side of the room, everybody had the flu. Weren't feeling well, really, really sick, and you're contagious. This side of the room's all healthy. All of you are healthy. You take them to the doctors and you sit in the doctor's office with them. Now, 100% of you are sick. Some of you are going to get better. You're going to get some treatment. You're going to get some fluids. Let's say 30% of you are better when you leave. That's a 30% reduction treatment effect. Anybody over here going to get better? No. Some of them are going to get sick. Let's say 30% of them get sick, right? From being exposed to it. But 70% of you are still healthy, right? This is a treatment effect. This is no treatment effect, right? But we make that mistake of comparing these two. We shouldn't be doing that. Mm-hmm. The second principle, we'll take a break here, is provide most intensive treatment to higher risk offenders. What does that mean? I used to come back, and some of you heard me speak many years ago, and we'd always say, give most intensive treatment. Everybody shake their head, yes. The problem is most studies show the longer someone's in treatment, the greater the effects. Problem is, we've got a caveat. If you keep them too long, treatment effects go down. Why would they go down? People give up. Right? Keep somebody in something too long, they give up. Right? Or they make some progress. Let's say I had a diet. You came to me and you said, I want to lose 50 pounds. I said, I got a great diet for you. You can only eat carrots and alfalfa sprouts for 2 years. And let's say you were stupid enough to try my diet. Let me tell you what would happen the most. After about a month, you come to me and say, I lost some weight, my pants are fitting better, I'm done. Right? Because you made some progress. That happens, right? They get a job, they're doing okay, and they don't want to come to group anymore. They don't want to do this stuff anymore, right? They're fine now. Right? And the other thing that happens is people do give up if treatment goes on and on. It's really a dosage issue. How much dosage do we need? And I started thinking about this. I started thinking about this a number of years ago. I went through a very serious illness. I'm a high-risk person that made it. I survived pancreatic cancer. Not too many people that you'll meet that have done that. And I got thinking about it, this whole dosage issue. When you get radiation, right, what happens if they give you too much? They can kill you, right? What happens if they don't give you enough? They can kill you, right? They're very prescriptive, and they monitor how you're doing and your blood count and all that. And I got to think, we don't do that. We shove them in programs and stamp graduated on their forehead in 12 weeks, right? And so I started to think about this, and we started doing some research. Again, I don't have time to go through it all, but this is the rules of thumb that we've seen. For moderate risk offenders, about 100 hours will get your treatment effect. A significant reduction in recidivism. About 100 hours. For high risk, you have to double it, at least. But look at this finding right here. 100 hours for high risk will have little effect. That means if you're like everybody else and you have one-size-fits-all programs, and most people do, your failures are canceling out your successes in the data. We have got to do a better job of designing programs around risk. I'll give you an example. I do work up in Michigan with a juvenile judge up there. He started a program for kids. After school, they bus them in. They go. They go from 4 to 8 every day after school. They do structured groups. They do rec. They feed them. They do homework. It's a very structured program. But here's what he does. Moderate risk kids go Tuesday and Thursday. High risk kids go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So with one little schedule change, he separated moderate and high risk kids, and he increased the dosage of treatment. So we've got to design programs around those target numbers, all right? Those target numbers. It doesn't include work, it doesn't include school, it doesn't include kumbaya activities. It's all around targeting and reducing their risk factors. Okay? And we have the data. This is a study we're doing now. We published this one, we're doing a new one. You can see for moderate risk offenders, increasing the dosage didn't get that big of a drop, but look at high risk. Dramatic drop in recidivism when we got the dosage up over 200 hours. It's not always an easy thing to do. I get asked all the time, well, what do you count? I don't have all the answers. I just know that it's very clear we have to have more intensive programs for higher risk offenders. And the reason is not hard to figure out. You're not high risk because you have a risk factor. You're high risk because you have a lot of risk factors. And so we've got to do a better job.